Popeye and your business. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. What does Popeye the Sailor Man have to do with your business? Let's talk about it a little bit, shall we? Popeye, what's he known for, right? He's known for being strong to the finish because he eats his spinach. And so his spinach gives him superpowers. It allows him to beat up Bluto or whatever bad guy he's up against. And in a sense, it became a quasi endorsement of spinach, even though it was somewhat accidental. It started out in the comic strip. What's funny is that you look at a little bit at the history of Popeye, and I just know a little bit of this weird stuff from other fascinations that I have that I fell into this. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is we were watching Popeye on HBO Max with the kids, the old black and white ones, which are fabulous to watch. But regardless, it reminded me of a lot of this background story, and that he didn't start out eating spinach. He actually started out every time he would rub the head of the Wiffle Hen, which was another character in the comic strip that Popeye started on, which was called Thimble Theater. It would give him extreme luck, and that luck ended up becoming more of strength over time. But that's where the concept came from. Okay, so and then from there he would eat spinach once in a while, and they showed that, and then they grabbed that when they started doing cartoons, because Popeye started in the comic strips and then he went to the cartoons, so they started doing that in the cartoons where he would eat spinach, and that would give him his power, and that would allow him, and that became the theme in every flippin' cartoon. Every once in a while you see one where they weirdly don't have it in there, but most, 9 times out of 10, 90, probably 99 times out of 100, Popeye or sometimes another character will eat spinach and win the day because of that special tie-in. Now, the fact that this was almost like an endorsement deal was not lost on marketers of the day. And so what they did was they had a radio show that was sponsored by Wheatena. Wheatena is a breakfast cereal. You don't see it as much around anymore, at least not where I live, but I think the brand is still out there. And what it is, it's kind of a whole wheat, cream of wheat style, or farina or malto meal style thing. Except it's a whole wheat, and it's got a lot of extra stuff in it. It's a little different, a little more hearty than your typical farina cereal. And they had a radio show, and it was Popeye. It was Popeye on the radio. And I don't even think that a lot of the same people did the voices and everything, but they did the show. They had to change the song because instead of eating spinach, he would eat Wheatena cereal.
I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. Wheatena's his diet. He asks you to try it with Popeye the Sailor Man.
And so it's a really funny thing. So throughout time, Popeye hasn't only eaten spinach, but the same theme came through every time. Is he get into trouble. He's a good guy, get into a situation he couldn't get out of. Get into trouble. Usually the bad guy was either picking on or grabbing Olive Oyl and taking her against her will, most of the time against her will. And there was a bad situation going on that Popeye could not get through on his own. All of a sudden comes the spinach, the Wheatena, the whatever product would come out, and he would use that and get to the next level. It gave him strength to win the day in the end so that he would be on top at the end of the show. This is the story arc of everybody that is your customer, your potential customer. And it's the story that has to be told whether you have a celebrity endorsement or not. You need to have that story being told. You aren't the hero. Your people are the hero. And this is great, and it's that book, and I don't have it in front of me, But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later. I've talked about it previously, where that one book in particular really goes through this, and we'll talk about that later. But this concept is true throughout. If you look at any really good advertisement, it puts the customer or potential customer in the place of a hero and going on a bit of a hero's journey. And sometimes it can be as simple as the Popeye story, and sometimes it can be a little more in depth, but the same thing's true. They get into a situation they can't get out of, and your product comes to aid them to be everything that they're meant to be. So hopefully that makes sense to you. It's a different way of looking at your advertising, and you ought to step back and say, okay, are we really presenting that story? Are we putting out a Popeye story of our own? Go check it out. It's worth taking a look at your advertising a little bit differently, your marketing and your messaging a little bit differently. If you'd like more ideas on how to get that message out there and how to have it be outlasting and overcoming your competition, go check out my book, 9 Ways to Amazon Proof Your Business. You can get a free digital copy at amazonproofbook.com. That's all I got for today. You have a great night. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.